No. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Pow day.
Dude, let's go.
1970 was the year my dad, a Boise firefighter, started sunburst painting as a side gig. His dedication and love for this community was always inspiring to me. That passion led me to start rowpaint.com, turning what began as his side job into a family business that's been serving Boise for generations. For over 60 years in the Treasure Valley, the Rowe family name has been synonymous with hard work, dedication, and commitment to the community that's given us so much. We are a family-owned business who are proud to be sponsors of Boise State Athletics, to serve not only Boise, but our neighbors across Idaho and the surrounding states. From my father's first brushstroke to numerous paint and coatings projects today, we're here to make Boise a better place, one project at a time. Power in people, pride in painting.
It's game day. Are you ready?
Let's go!
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Bousher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course. It's time for the Jackson's Postgame Show on Bronco Nation News. We're breaking down the game with highlights, interviews, analysis, and most importantly, you. Give your thoughts on the game in the ICCU YouTube chat, and we'll include the best ones on the show. Or leave us a message on the Signature Roofing voicemail line at speakpipe.com/BNN. The BNN Postgame Show is presented by Jackson's, where 25 cents from each hot dog sold goes directly to the Horseshoe Collective to support Boise State student athletes. Need snacks, a coffee, or cold drink? Visit a Treasure Valley Jackson's today. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is RovePaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics. For all your painting needs, check out RovePaint.com. Now, let's go courtside and join five-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, for the Jackson's Postgame Show.
And we are live. We're going to kick this thing off with Tyson Degenhart right off the start here on the Jackson's Postgame Show. Boise State falling tonight. The final score 64-47. Tyson, I know the last thing you want to do is have to talk about it with me, but back up here a little bit if you can.
Yep.
Just tough one tonight, man. What's your kind of initial thoughts?
I mean, there's a couple stretches where we just got out physicaled. We actually ended up beating them on the boards, but looking at the shooting percentages, they shot over 50%, and we shot just over 34%. So kind of hard to win games when you're shooting 34%. But it's on to the next.
You had a tough finish there to the first half, 5-15 without scoring. You had a lead, 18-17, and then you guys go the final 5-15 without scoring. They go on a 10-0 run, and they're the 11-0 run, and they end up going into the locker room down 10. How big was that stretch there?
It was pretty big looking back. We started out the game really well, and just didn't finish the first half the way we wanted to, and I think that set us back a little bit.
And then you had another scoring drought in the second half of 5 minutes. I mean, just you had one stretch where I think Guath got you twice in a row on the blocks there. I mean, they lead the country in blocks, and you guys saw that tonight. Just how tough was it to get anything going, especially there inside the paint?
With a guy like Guath, it makes it hard to go inside and finish. I think we probably could have done a better job of using our shot fakes. He ended up having 5 blocks, so definitely something we can get better at.
How just his length. How difficult is that though?
It's something that's hard to prepare for. We have like the sticks that you can imitate it, but it's hard to imitate a guy like that.
I mean, he had the one I think where he pinned it to the glass on you, and then there was that stretch down there where he had 2. I mean, sometimes when he's got those arms, I mean, there's sometimes nothing you can do.
Yeah, and sometimes we probably could have done a better job of driving to pass, where we drive, get everyone to commit, and then turn around and then throw it back to an open shooter. And I think we got some good looks, but we just ended up hitting them.
What is it about their defense? I mean, obviously the stats say they're one of the best defensive teams in America, but you guys had a couple shot clock violations. Just seemed like it was really hard to get any kind of good looks tonight.
Yeah, they just they put a lot of pressure on you to handle the ball and make the right reads. And when they're pressing up full court, you get across, you got 20 seconds, and it put us in some pretty hard spots to be in.
You guys did make a 12-0 run, though. You cut it to 11 on that peanut 3 and forced Dutcher to call a timeout. There was still 8:37 to go. I mean, at least there for a couple minutes, it was looking like you might have a magical comeback in you.
Yeah, we never stopped believing, and when we cut it to 11, we knew we had a chance still, and unfortunately we couldn't stop Boyd down the stretch, and he continued to get to his left hand, and that was that.
Where do you guys kind of go from here? Obviously, a tough loss. I know you guys weren't thinking too much about the tournament and all that, but this obviously was a big hit to those goals. And now you obviously come home for another big game. You got to turn the page here pretty quickly. And I'll ask you about New Mexico game in a second, but just big picture wise, obviously you guys had won 4 in a row, had been playing kind of good. How do you kind of see this in terms of a setback?
We're going to have to take a look at the film and see where we can get better. I know this was not the game we imagined us playing. We have a great opportunity with New Mexico on Wednesday, and we'll get a chance to watch them tomorrow. And so we have to take it day by day and then get ready for them when the time comes.
And, you obviously need a big crowd. It's a quick turnaround Wednesday night, 8:30 game. They've got the game tomorrow against Utah State. But how just in terms of trying to not let this become 2, I mean, still a lot of things. You guys are still playing for, the highest seed you can get in the conference tournament and things. And obviously, it's still a massive game on Wednesday.
Absolutely. We're playing against the top team in the conference, and we're going to need a big crowd. And when we have a big crowd, we feed off of it. And the crowd here was very, very good tonight, and they definitely fed off of it. So if you can get there, get to the game. If you can't get there and have tickets, make sure you get them to someone that can, and to help us out as much as possible.
And I know you guys aren't giving up. I mean, you had the rock bottom 3 weeks ago, whatever. But obviously, you guys seem like a team that's going to keep fighting until the final whistle of the season blows.
Absolutely. For us seniors, it's our last go around in the Mountain West and last go around in college basketball, and we want to leave no page unturned. We want to give it our all, and wherever the chips land, they land. So we just want to live with no regrets and play as hard as we can.
Well, I don't know if you drew the short straw or what, having to come out here and do this, but appreciate it as always.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, man. Safe travels back. We'll see you
you.
Wednesday
See you
for New Mexico. Big game coming up Wednesday for New Mexico. There is Tyson Degenhart. Appreciate him for joining us here on the Jackson's postgame show. As we officially welcome you into the Jackson's postgame show here on Bronco Nation News. Boise State falling tonight by a final score of 64-47. Believe the 47 points are the lowest since the Broncos scored 42 in a loss to Charlotte in that Myrtle Beach tournament, or maybe it was the Charleston tournament, November 17th, 2022, where they lost 54-42 to Charlotte. So Boise State only getting 47 points tonight. Tyson Degenhart did his part, 17 points, 12 rebounds for Tyson, but just not a lot of other offense chipping in. I mean, Andrew Meadow scored the first 7 points of the game for Boise State and then didn't score again. You had Cardenas finishing with 8. You had only 2 points for Buchanan in 14 minutes. Omar Stanley had 4 points, and then 7 for Pearson Carmichael, and that was it. 47 points is all that Boise State gets. Leon Rice had a technical in this game. Just not a lot went well for Boise State in this one. Brian Dutcher out here giving well wishes to Tyson Degenhart. But we got a lot of comments. We'll get to all your comments here, and obviously a tough one for Boise State. Mr. Buchanan saying can't score from the bench. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm not really sure why he only got 14 minutes in this game. Javen Buchanan, 14 minutes, 17 seconds. He did go 1 of 5 from the field, missed both of his 3-point attempts, but that was a little interesting compared to the number of minutes that he has been getting in games to only get 14 tonight. We'll have to see the reason for that. Cardenas played 38 minutes, 37 seconds. Tyson Degenhart, 38 minutes, 44 seconds for him. But just not a lot went well for Boise State in this game. As I mentioned, they actually had the lead 18-17, and then they got outscored 29-5 over a run that obviously gave a 46-23 lead for San Diego State, a 29-5 run there over the final stretch of the first half and the second half. Went from an 18-17 Boise State lead to a 46-23 deficit. We are going to have Coach Leon Rice joining us here momentarily, so stay tuned for Coach Rice. But just a tough one. They had another stretch. They were down, and right away, of course, Miles Bird, who hadn't scored in the first half, then hits a three-pointer. There, to start the second half. You're down 13, and away they go with San Diego State extending the lead. It was another scoring drought of over 5 minutes. This one was 5 minutes and 41 seconds as San Diego State opened up a 46-23 lead. And actually, when the first bucket that ended the drought, San Diego State actually tipped it in. So that made it 46-25, ended the drought at 5:41. But that was just a tough stretch for Boise State at that point, because that made the run kind of put the game away at that point, down 23. And Boise State, give them a little bit of credit. They went on a 12-0 run. They cut it to 46-35 with 8:37 to go. Peanut Carmichael hit a three. They had to call timeout, and but after that, a couple quick buckets, and then Leon Rice got teed up by Scott Brown. And then they got it to 11 again, I think, with 2:31 to go, but just couldn't do enough in this game to get back in it. And San Diego State, the defense just swarms you, man. They finished with how many blocks? Magoon Guath was credited with 5 blocks. I thought he had a 6th one they didn't give him credit for. 10 blocks as a team for San Diego State. Boise State had 0. So, yeah, just a tough situation there. The San Diego State defense is just, man, they swarm you, and it's tough in the paint there to get much going. Boise State shot 30.4% in the first half. They shoot 37.5% in the second half, but only 34.5% for the game. And San Diego State did come in with the number 2 defense in the country in terms of opponents' field goal percentage. They were top 10 in many other defensive categories, led the I think we're going to get Coach Rice over here shortly. But they're a very good defensive team. Obviously did a lot of good things defensively, but Boise State has found that out firsthand tonight, what it's like having to go up against the San Diego State defense again, 64-47. And we will get Coach Rice on here on the post-game show. 17 points, 12 rebounds for Tyson Degenhart. No one else reaches double figures, though, for the Broncos. We appreciate Coach Rice for joining us for a couple minutes here. Coach, you had the 18-17 lead. You got off to a nice, there you go, 18-17 lead, and then that final 5 minutes of the first half when you didn't score really kind of changed the game.
It did, but it did and it didn't, because, they're a team of runs, and we felt like if we could our defense was pretty darn good. We let them get too many layups downhill. Nick did a good job at that point, and but we were right there, but it was the physicality in the second half. Then they hit a couple big threes right away, and but then our guys battled back, and then Tyson's going to the line, and if he makes those, it cuts it to 9. And you're like, okay, now we're back in it. But it was the shot blocking. I think that's the difference in the game. When they, 10 block shots, we haven't had that since.
Felt like it might have been more, to be honest.
I know, because they altered some more, and they but those become turnovers and fast breaks. And they even, we're a team that can score around the basket, and we've been really effective doing that on most teams.
Mm-hmm.
And when
you're one of the best 2-point percentage teams in America,
and so you don't want to tell your guys never to shoot those but we worked on things to deal with their shot blocking, but when you're out there, it happens so quick. And
yeah,
I mean, even in transition, we have a fast break, and I think Tyson's going to get a lay-in.
Pinned against the glass.
Yeah, and it gets blocked. And you're like, okay, that's going to be 2 points. So even when you did run, very first play of the game, we ran good offense. We get the roller. Ems has been scoring those kind of things all year, and they just block it out of bounds. So your good offense, when we did have good possessions, which is hard to do against them, we all know that. But when you did have good possessions, they made up for it with their shot blocking ability. And I talked about that. I've watched all their games, and that was probably the most complete 40 minutes defensively that they've played this year. You got to give San Diego State a lot of credit, and because I've seen some elite minutes from them.
Yeah,
but they've been digging themselves some holes, and then all of a sudden when they turn it on, you're like, uh-oh, that looks different. And they've done that in a lot of games, a 20-0 run on Wyoming when they were way down. And, so I've seen them do this in stretches, but this was the night where, they put it together for 40. They came and guarded.
If I told you, you'd win the rebound battle, you probably would have felt pretty good. I mean, 31-30, you win the battle. You hold them to 5 offensive rebounds after the 15 they got up there, and I think they only had 7 second chance points tonight. I mean, from that aspect, you had to be happy.
No, I think the biggest stat is the block shots. If they're not protecting the rim like that, and if we're not, some of them, you look at the film and figure out, but you don't want your guys not attacking the rim because it takes their aggressiveness away. And, there was a couple where I thought, man, you blocked the shot, but you tackled our guy. A few other guys, there's a few of those, but they do a good job of just attacking the ball. And there's a bunch of them usually. But when you play them again, if we get that opportunity, we have to have some adjustments. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results against those. Like I said, we played against Willie Cauley-Stein, who's an NBA shot blocker, was a really, really good NBA shot blocker. And what they have here is another one.
And his offensive game's improving as well.
No, he's got it. And, his wingspan's about 7'5" or 7'6", I think. And now he's understanding their system, and we saw this trend coming because he's been maybe their best player all around recently, and he makes such a difference for them defensively.
Javen Buchanan only got 14 minutes tonight. Was that just kind of the way the game went, or?
Well, again, he just it was, and he scores around the basket a lot, and he's kind of got a deliberate slower game, and so it was kind of just
not a great matchup.
Yeah, it was just kind of grinding us a little bit, and his around the basket stuff was kind of ineffective a little bit, and but we were just spinning the wheel a little bit, trying some different things, some different lineups. I thought Peanut did a good job in that second half, and
his 3 cut it to 11 there, and they needed the timeout, and you're kind of thinking, okay,
but with those freshmen, you're going to deal with some freshman mistakes here and there. But I thought he did a good job in that second half, and we were a little more physical dealing with what we were dealing with. It didn't go the way we want. We got out of the frying pan into the fire quickly. I mean, you got to respond. You got to improve in the next couple of days to play another really, really physical team. And, we have to play better than what we did and handle it better than what we did tonight.
Yeah. Final thing. I mean, you look ahead. How do you, you obviously had the 4-game winning streak. You're playing pretty well, and obviously kind of a, step back tonight, at least in terms of this winning streak ending. But how do you kind of look at the final stretch here and still seed a lot of seeding things, and you're still playing for a lot here?
You got great opportunities, but to beat a good team, you have to play a really good game, and especially on the road. And we know what this place is like. And, we need a great crowd on Wednesday. You got New Mexico coming in, one of the hottest teams in our league. Seem to be one of the hotter teams in the country. And, I know one thing, our guys will bounce back in battle, and that we'll be ready to go on Wednesday. But we just need we need a great crowd, great turnout. We don't have many times with Tyson left and Omar and Al, and we want to send them out the right way and not send them out for a long time.
Well, we appreciate your time, Coach. Safe travels back, and we'll see you Wednesday.
Thanks.
Leon Rice, appreciate him for joining us here on the post-game show. Again, final score 64-47. Boise State falls to San Diego State. Again, the 2022 game against Charlotte is, I believe, the last time that Boise State didn't reach 50 points in a game. They had 42 in that game a couple of years ago for Boise State. But, yeah, interesting game. They had the lead 19-18, and then, like we said, after that, it just went downhill in a big way pretty quickly. Let's see here. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the chat calling for Rice to be fired. Let's see what else here. Why was BSU picked to win the conference? If you want the honest opinion, Kurt, Omar Stanley. I think they expected a lot more out of Omar Stanley. I mean, he was a first-team All-League player in the preseason, and for whatever reason, that has not materialized this year. So I think a big reason was Omar Stanley, and then I think Dylan Anderson. They expected to get a lot more from Dylan Anderson. So I think if you look at it, on paper, they had the best roster, it looked like, going into the season. You didn't know that Omar Stanley was going to, have the year that he had. You didn't know Dylan Anderson was going to have the year that he had. So I think those are two big things that are really hurting this team. And I think you also maybe didn't realize how much you miss a Chibuzo Abo and a Max Rice, this year as well. So I think that, there were a lot of reasons why it just hasn't worked out this year. And I'll go back to the road. I already started writing my story there early in the second half, which you can read at BroncoNationNews.com shortly. But, Boise State 3-4 on the road in Mountain West play after going 7-2 on the road last season. The last 3 seasons, Boise State 18-9 on the road in Mountain West play. And so they've done a lot of damage winning key road games. 2 of the last 3 years, they were 7-2. The year they won the league in 2022, they were 23, I guess it would have been. No, 22. Yeah. They were 7-2 on the road in Mountain West play. And the Broncos, this year 3-4 in Mountain West play. So they just, for whatever reason, haven't been able to get the big wins on the road. The Utah State game was super close. That was a tough loss. The road game against Colorado State was another tough one. So they are now 0-5 against the teams ahead of them in the standings, and 9-0 against the teams below them in the standings. So Boise State falls to 5th place in the standings, and right now they would have to play either Colorado State or San Diego State again in the first round of the Mountain West tournament. But Boise State has 3 home games left, and they'll have to win all 3 of those. And certainly you're just trying to get positioning for the Mountain West tournament here. Would 6-0 down the stretch be enough? Probably not. I mean, you would have wins over New Mexico and Utah State, but that's probably not enough. I don't think. Maybe they would at least have to be. They would at least be in the mix here. I know we got some parents in the chat that are a little unhappy with playing time and things like that. Let's just take a deep breath. And there's just things happen in games, and you heard Coach Rice maybe say certain guys were better matchups for certain teams, and it is what it is at times. But I don't think maybe one game not playing as much as somebody wants is reason for to be super frustrated publicly and to kind of give up on things. It's a long season. And certain players maybe didn't play as much in this game as they have in the past, but I don't think they're giving up on anybody. They still see all, some of these guys as key parts of the team. And I don't think that's going to change tonight. I think tonight's kind of one of those games that I'm not sure they win if one player plays a little more than anybody else, to be honest. But it is what it is. And, certainly just didn't get enough scoring output, anybody other than Tyson. And, San Diego State's elite defensively. I mean, you could say they're the 4th place team in the league, all that kind of stuff. But they're elite defensively, 10 blocks. You obviously saw that, tonight in terms of defensively what they did, but Boise State just has to find a way to do more offensively. If you're Boise State, you have to find a way to score more than 47 points, and you have to get better looks against a team like that. So I'm not making excuses for Boise State. San Diego State is a very good defensive team that 10 blocks, but you just have to find a way if you're Boise State to do more offensively. They just didn't get a lot of good looks, and it was just super disappointing if you're a Boise State fan to see what happened tonight. You're up 18-7. You're thinking, okay, Boise State came to play. This is going to be a battle. It's going to be a great game. And then next thing you know, it's a 29-5 run that has Boise State trailing 46-23 in this one. So, Mr. Buchanan, I love you, but I'm just saying for your sake, I would probably stay out of the comments for a while. It didn't work out tonight. Your son only played 14 minutes. It's frustrating. I get it. But you heard directly from the coach there that he didn't think it was a great matchup, and that's how the coach feels. So, if Javen Buchanan plays all 40 minutes, do they win this game? I'm not sure. But I think it's just best to take a deep breath tonight and realize that it's a long season, and one game really doesn't define things. And so I don't think they're giving up on Javen Buchanan by any means. He's going to be a very big part of this team. I think they all think that next year he could be a all Mountain West type player. I think they have very high hopes and exciting plans for Javen moving forward here. It just was one game. It didn't work out, and I'm not sure, what would have worked out for who in a game like this with the defense that they have and the players that they have down there in the paint. So it is what it is. It's a tough game. I know everybody's frustrated, but I think, when you let it go for a day or two, it's going to maybe not be quite as frustrating, and you move on to the next game against New Mexico. I'm seeing a lot of stuff in the comments here. We got hundreds of comments rolling in. But you know what? You guys are frustrated. Fans, parents, everybody's frustrated. You totally should be. You have every right to be frustrated. It was certainly a tough game, and there's really no defending anybody. It was just San Diego State came out and, kicked their ass for 30 minutes of the game. I mean, it's really there's really no denying it. San Diego State was clearly the better team tonight. They outplayed Boise State pretty much in every facet. I mean, Boise State did win the rebounding battle 31-30. So from that standpoint, you're thinking, okay, they one of their goals, their main goal was rebound the ball, and they did 31-30. They won the glass. They limited San Diego State to 7 second chance points. I mean, if I'd have told you that before the game, you would have probably thought, okay, this team's gonna win. See, I don't totally agree with that, John. He says the last 4 games were fool's gold. I mean, you're on the road in the literally hardest place to play in the entire conference and on the West Coast, maybe aside from like a Gonzaga. I mean, the stats say it in the last decade, San Diego State has the best home winning percentage of any team in this league. So let's have a little perspective here. Let's not put this like they just lost at Air Force or Fresno or something, or Wyoming. Okay, they just lost at Viejas Arena to San Diego State. So I'm not making excuses for the loss. I just said it was a bad loss. It was not a good loss. And there's, a lot of blame to go around. But let's not act like they just lost to Air Force here, okay? San Diego State maybe isn't the San Diego State, team of old, but they're still a very good team. They're still very hard to beat at home. When you have a electric sellout crowd like you had tonight, would you have liked to see Boise State compete better and put up more of a fight? Sure you would. Of course, everybody would. But they didn't just lose to Air Force, okay? They lost to a team that was in the Final Four a couple of years ago and is one of the premier programs in this conference and in literally the hardest venue in this conference. So I just want to make sure I get that out there when you think about putting this in perspective here. This place is a very hard place to play, and I understand that UNLV came in here and got a win, but not many teams come in here and get wins, and this is a super tough place to play. But with that said, yes, 64-47. You only have first of all, the 4 places they've lost. I mean, if folks want to come at me and blame me and say this is my fault, Boise State lost, like, go for it. I'll sure, that's fine. I've said 3 times I'm not making excuses for anybody. It was a bad game. They played bad. They're 0-5 against the teams ahead of them in the standings. Haven't won a big conference game all year. I mean, I don't disagree with you. You're you're right on there, Easton. I mean, the spectrum was the loudest this year, but I don't know if I'd say it was the hardest. I'm just going by the stats. San Diego State has the best home winning percentage in the conference going back to 2013. So the statistics say this is the hardest place in the conference to play. Is it the loudest? Is the on any given night is the Pitt or Utah State right up there as good or better? They're right there, 1, 2, and 3. So I mean, yes, Utah State is a super tough place to play. The Pitt is a tough place to play. But the statistics say that San Diego State has the best home winning percentage, and it's not even close. Going back to the 2013 season, I don't have the game notes in front of me, but I think I wrote down the stat before. They are 92-14, so they're now 93-14 at home in the Mountain West since 2013. That's 87% winning percentage. So Boise State, by the way, is second, 85-22 at 79%. But San Diego State has only lost 14 conference home games in the last 15 seasons. So let's put that in perspective here. 14 losses in 15 seasons at home in Mountain West play. So they just very rarely lose here at home. And so, again, it was a terrible loss. It probably ends their at-large hopes for the NCAA tournament. Even if they go 6-0 down the stretch, I'm not sure if that's enough. And I get some of you guys in the chat saying, well, this ain't the same San Diego State team, that we've seen in years past. That's fine, but they're now a third place team, and they're, one game they could be tied for second tomorrow with Utah State if Utah State loses at New Mexico. So it's still a team that is going to be, one of the top teams in the conference. So yeah, it's a, it's a brutal loss. But I mean, whether it was by 1 or by 17, it doesn't really change anything. They lost the game. They're now, and the big thing is as somebody pointed out, I mean, yeah, they just haven't been able to get any. They've now lost the 4 big road games: Colorado State, San Diego State, Utah State, New Mexico. I mean, that's literally where this comes down to. And you can say, sure, they were a shot away from from beating Utah State, and a shot away or rebound away from beating Colorado State. And those are true, but you know what? They still lost both those games. So Boise State is 0-4 in the 4 toughest road environments, they've played in this season. So as I said, last year they were 7-2 on the road. This year they're 3-4 in Mountain West play. The difference in the season is they have not been able to get a, that big win at some point. They just have not been able to get that big win this year. So, there's still an opportunity to get them at home. But I think that to this point, that's been where the season's kind of derailed. The inability to just pick up a big road win has been the big thing that's hurt them this year. And so it's just been one of those seasons, And tonight, obviously, a step back. They had the 4 wins in a row, and took a step backwards tonight and falling to 9-5 in conference play. And I already mentioned it, but I mean, I'll say it again: 0-5 against the teams ahead of them in the standings, and now 9-0 against the teams below them in the standings. So Boise State just unable to beat the good teams right now, and that's why they're sitting there in 5th place. So, let's see what else we got here. Feel bad for Deggy. Yeah, I mean, certainly. And somebody said, do we already have players on? Yeah, we already talked to Tyson Degenhart. That's the one player we're getting tonight. The team has already departed the arena and headed towards the airport. But they is one of these seasons not on the coaching staff. I mean, certainly the coaching staff is to blame. Did they miss on Dylan Anderson and think he was going to be a better player? I think that's certainly fair to blame the coaches for that. Is it fair to blame the coaches for Omar Stanley going from a preseason all-league player to a guy that has 2 fouls and a turnover in 21 seconds and goes back to the bench? I guess. I mean, they're the coaches and they're the players, but I don't think they were banking on that, and I don't think they did anything differently preparing Omar Stanley for the season this year. And that's where this season really has kind of, I don't want to say gone down the drain, but just the biggest reasons why they are where they are is I think Dylan Anderson didn't Dylan Anderson started at the beginning of the season. I mean, they expected him to be a starter, and now he's barely playing in games. And like I said, Omar Stanley had just, whatever is going on with him, he went from an all-league player to a guy that it's tough to even, give minutes to right now. So, it's been those have been the 2 biggest things probably. And there's some other things you can point to, but, you've gotten a heck of a year out of Cardenas and a heck of a year out of Degenhardt, and it would be a shame if Tyson Degenhardt's season ends, with a loss in the quarterfinals or semifinals or whatever in the Mountain West tournament. I mean, you just, if you had a dream scenario or whatever, and you say, how does this thing end? You certainly feel like Tyson Degenhardt deserves to play in another NCAA tournament, and you feel like Alvaro Cardenas deserves to, play in a tournament, but that doesn't look likely right now. Like I said, even if they win the 6 games left on their schedule, I don't know if that would be enough. I mean, you would have a couple of nice wins over New Mexico, Utah State. I think the road win at Nevada would be quad 1 right now, and then a quad 2 win over Colorado State to finish up the regular season. So that would at least put them back in the hunt. But right, I mean, that's probably the furthest thing folks should be thinking of right now. You should be thinking of how to find a way to beat New Mexico, and we'll see. This team could respond and have a huge game and beat the first place team in the conference, or they could let this linger and struggle, and the crowd's not good, and they fall to New Mexico, and who knows where this thing ends up. So I do think this team is NIT bound. Andrew's saying, would they any chance at NIT bid? Yes, this team would be in the NIT, and depending on what happens down the stretch here, probably have a good chance to host a game or two in the NIT, and especially if Tyson Degenhardt had a chance to break the record. I mean, maybe that would at least be one positive finish, is that he could do it at home at Extra Mile Arena in the NIT. I mean, sure, that certainly may not make the NIT. I don't know where Kurt. Kurt, they're by most projections within 10 spots of the NCAA tournament right now, so that would put them in a 2 or 3 seed in the NIT. So I don't know what they certainly would be an NIT team at this point, I think, unless they just kind of tanked down the stretch here and lost a lot of these games. But I still think they have a chance to win a lot of these games. Like I said, this loss certainly is frustrating and sends you back, but whether they lost by 1 or 40, it's still a road loss, and it's it's the result is the same, I guess, in the standings in terms of what it does to hurt things for them. But 47 points just ain't going to get it done tonight. They had a stretch where they scored. They started out pretty quick when they got that 9 points. I think they led 9-4 at the first media timeout. They had 9 points in the first 4 minutes or so, and then they had 9 points in the first 3:58, and then they score 9 points in the final 15:42. So that's really where they just inability to score. Didn't score a single point in the final 5:15 of the half, and again 9 points in the final 15:40 of the half is just not enough to win, especially on the road. And then unfortunately, to start the second half there, Cardenas hits the 3. They're down 10. Degenhardt scores. They're down 11, 23-34 with 17:50 to go. And then a 5-minute, 41-second scoring drought. Boise State goes another 5+ minute drought. And that's when San Diego State went on that big run and takes the 46-23 advantage. And this game was pretty much over. It was a blowout, but they did fight back a little bit. 12-0 run, cut it to 46-35 with 8:37 to go. Pearson Carmichael hit a 3-pointer, and they ended up calling a timeout there. So from that standpoint, Boise State was able to, at least show a little bit of fight, but just couldn't get any closer. They had it back to 11 with 2:31 to go. They were down 55-44, but unfortunately just couldn't get much going there. And the 47 points is the lowest since they scored 42 against Charlotte back in the 2022 Myrtle Beach tournament. So just one of those games. They went up against a San Diego State team who you heard Leon Rice say played their best 40 minutes defensively of the season. I mean, they looked like, the numbers say they're a top 10 defense in the country, and they certainly showed that tonight. And the one thing Boise State's never really had, because it's just not their style of defense, is a shot blocker. And really, they've never had like an elite shot blocker. I mean, they've had one or two, but I mean, like typically Boise State ranks near the bottom of the country in blocks. That's not typically their kind of, even a Malad Narmouche, who was a beast in the middle, wasn't necessarily like a elite shot blocker. And you see what Guath can do. Magoon Guath, pinning the ball against the backboard on that Tyson Degenhardt block. And then there was another sequence where he had like two blocks back to back. And I mean, that's one area defensively. For as good as Boise State is defensively, they could really use a guy like Guath, who can block shots and just be an absolute game changer in there, because even when he doesn't get a block, he's altering shots and he is doing things to make you have to shoot the ball, higher than you typically do. I mean, they practice this. People go, oh, how do the coaches not have them ready? I mean, they practice with brooms, and they hold up brooms and they're in the paint when they're trying to practice finishing over taller guys. But they just when you're out there in a game, it's a different story. And I think that that's one area that I'd like to see Boise State maybe try to target at some point, will be an elite shot blocker type that could really, do some things. I see Mark Ziegler sitting down there from the San Diego Union Tribune. I'm not sure if he would want to come back on and give his take on this one post game, but you guys probably don't care about the San Diego State angle of this anyway. Boise State did commit 14 turnovers tonight. San Diego State got 38 points in the paint of their 64, so over half of their points came in the paint. Boise State did have 30 points in the paint as well, but the Broncos just 3 of 18 from three-point range. So 3 of 18 from three-point range, and 19 of 55 overall. They did miss 5 free throws tonight. Tyson Degenhart missed a couple front end of 1-and-1s. Those were big. That was the big one of the big things that is. I think there was one of them they were down 11. And that could have cut it to 9, I believe, and he missed the front end of a 1-and-1. So they go 6 of 11, but it's really 6 of 13 when you give away more points there. From the free throw line. I'm not really Hensley saying at what point is Leon Rice on the hot seat? Again, I think that's foolish talk. When would he be on the hot seat? If he had 2 more seasons like this, probably. They've made 3 NCAA tournaments in a row. I'm not going to go, I'm not defending Leon Rice. Oh, here he is carrying his water, whatever. I'm just being realistic. For a school like Boise State, with the budget they have, with, what they have, where they're at, they have a coach that runs the program the right way and competitive, has them in the postseason pretty much every year. And how you do in a 1-game tournament and in a 1-game scenario, win or go home in March Madness, that's not going to. Again, maybe I'm wrong and they fire him tomorrow. I think you're wasting your time. I really do. If you're a Boise State fan, talking about moving on from Leon Rice, you look around the country, look at other schools, other programs. You're going to win 20 games, be in the mix. Here you are still in mid-February playing a meaningful game. And that's all you can really ask for at this point. Have the 3 losses been disappointing? Sure. The Leon Rice 0-5 in the tournament disappointing? Yes. The 0-10? Yes, I get it. But I think if you just take a deep breath and realize where Boise State basketball has been, I don't think that thought will cross Jeremiah Dickey's mind for a very, very long time. Could they look to maybe make some changes to the coaching staff? Sure. I mean, the offense at times has not been great this year. I don't know. Do they shake things up on the coaching staff? Maybe that's something you could entertain, but to really waste your time saying, is Leon Rice on the hot seat or I want Leon Rice fired? I just think you're wasting your time at this point, to be honest. And I'm not defending him, saying he shouldn't. I'm just saying the reality of this athletic department is they're not even thinking about firing Leon Rice, and they would have to have another 2 seasons probably like this before we really have that conversation tonight. But San Diego State, this is they have elite players, and this is Brian Dutcher and this building and Guaff and some of these guys they have. They just took it to Boise State, and they really didn't have. They just really didn't have much of an answer tonight, and it was that run that did it. It was a 29-5 run, really, that put this thing away, 29-5. But just like I said before, you're not helping the cause if you're in here, thinking your kid should play more, or that him not playing is the reason they lost the game, and public commenting is not really helping anything at this point from players' parents and family members. I know everyone's frustrated, but let's put things in perspective here. It's 1 game, and it's 14 minutes for Javen Buchanan. I understand that, but it's 1 game here, and respectfully, they lost by 17. I'm not sure one player getting more minutes really is the difference of this game with Boise State. So let's see. I'm not blaming assistant coaches, but not the head coach. That's not really what I'm talking about here. I mean, you guys want Demario Warren canned, but you don't want Spencer Danielson canned. I'm just putting things out there and just saying like, hey, there's a they could look at making some changes to the staff, but I mean that's I don't know. I don't think they will probably. But I also think that this again, you're wasting your time, folks. I'm not trying to defend Leon Rice. It was not a good It was not a good win. It hasn't been a great season. Have they underachieved? Yes. But I'm just saying from Jeremiah Dickey in the athletic department, I'm just telling you, that's the last thing they're thinking about right now. His seat is not even beginning to be warm. They would have to have like 2 more seasons of this. So I think we have a couple trolls that have entered the chat. We did have some family members that are actually in there that are real family members that post on every comment on every show. But I think that we may have had 1 or 2 jump in here lately, changing some names and bringing some comments. So we'll just ignore some of that kind of talk on the chat for now. We will take any legitimate comments if you guys have those. San Diego State, again, the defense just wasn't good enough for Boise State. San Diego State shoots 54%, 54.2% is the shooting percentage for San Diego State. 64-47 is the final score. Boise State does win the rebounding battle 31-30. Leon Rice got that technical foul. I had video. Yes, I mean, are you kidding? I mean, what are we doing here? 20 wins. They have 6 games left. I mean, they're playing Fresno and Air Force. That's 2 easy wins right there. That puts them at 19. You don't think they're going to win 1 game? The rest in the other 4 games. I mean, they got 3 home games. You think you're going to go 0-3 in the home games? Like I some of this is crazy talk. Like, are they having a great season? No, but they have 6 games left. You don't think they're going to win 3 games when they play Air Force and Fresno? Like, I still think they have a chance to win every game they have left. The 3 hardest games are at home. At Nevada next weekend won't be easy, but I certainly think it's a game they can win. So it has been a disappointing season. Yes, everybody would say that. They were picked to win the league, and they're in 5th place. Like, I don't think anybody, coaches, players, even Jeremiah Dickey, Cody Gogler, everybody will say, yes, this has been a disappointing season. There's no denying that. As I said earlier in the show, 2 big reasons I feel are why that is the inconsistent play from Omar Stanley and Dylan Anderson. Both those guys were expected to do a lot more, and neither one of them has lived up to expectations. So, I mean, I'm not putting the season on those 2 guys and saying it's their fault. All I'm saying is, like, if you're looking for reasons why the season hasn't gone the way you thought it would, that's 2 reasons right there. Is I think they expected more from those 2 guys, and they just haven't gotten it. Omar Stanley in particular was an all-league first-team player preseason, I believe, and, was expected to be, one of Boise State's best players this year. And now he's, struggling to even see the floor, which I don't know what's going on there. It's disappointing for him, for everybody. And you feel for him if, with what's going on, but he ended up getting 14 minutes. He played a lot more in the second half, did have 4 points. But again, 4 fouls for him as well. So we'll see what happens. New Mexico is certainly going to be a tough game. They're playing Utah State tomorrow night. Or tomorrow afternoon. I think it's like a 3:00 Mountain Time game, maybe 4:00, 2:00, something like that. Afternoon game for New Mexico and Utah State. I would suspect New Mexico will win that. Utah State will have 3 conference losses then, and that'll put them into a tie with Colorado State, San Diego State for 3rd place. I mean, it is what it is. Boise State's a 5th place team in the conference. We'll see how the final 6 games shake out in the standings. Leon Rice did get a technical foul. I know some of you were saying it was a bad time to get a technical. There was a crazy sequence where Guath had like 2 blocks, and there was a couple other blocks, and then they finally were able to, get a basket, and then the whole bench was going crazy. Scott Brown warned the bench. Not sure what Leon Rice said, but he did end up getting a technical foul. That video is up on my social media comment here. So Grand Tetons has them going 3-3 to finish the season, and that would put them at 20-12. That would be the regular season. Rick, I actually didn't even know they lost, so thank you for telling me. I knew they wasn't going well, but I hadn't seen the final score there, so not a complete shocker.
I'll send Mike Prater a congratulatory text. But yeah, this has been a and again, I know Bill Self has a little equity since he's won 2 national championships there, and it's not exactly the same thing. But and yes, yes, he is the U of I fundraising guy. Yes, he is. The referee, Scott Brown. You're not going to have to play, by the way, Wyoming in the first round of the tournament. Whoever wins the conference will play Wyoming. Boise State in the 5th seed will play either Colorado State or San Diego State, most likely again in the first game. If they played Wyoming, that would be in the semifinals or the finals. Just throwing it out there. So that maybe there's not going to be a possibility for that to happen. But what I was going to say is, I get it. Bill Self's got more equity, but I mean, Kansas is having a down year. They were picked number 1 in the nation preseason, and they lose again. And now their record is dipping to 17-8, and they are now 8-6 in Big 12 play. So they sometimes it doesn't work out like it's supposed to. So whatever I say, it sounds like an excuse, for Boise State. So I'm not trying to do that. It was a bad loss. I'm just saying sometimes some of you need to just, it is what it is. It's a rough season, but you move on to next year at some point. It is what it is. See what happens down the stretch. They underachieved. It was a rough game. It's been a disappointing season. They've underachieved. There's no denying that. And if that all falls on Leon Rice, it falls on Leon Rice. I did say that. Not only did he win the Natty, he won 2 national championships. So I understand. It's a little different there. So it's pretty much textbook, though. Boise State loses. The same 4 or 5 trolls come in here. The same, some folks call for Leon Rice to be fired, and it kind of is what it is. And I'm kind of in a no-win situation here, because if I try to make you, be positive and feel good, then it's like, okay, you're just a homer. You're, holding, you got a Christmas card from Leon Rice, took him cookies on his birthday. I mean, I've heard it all. What was the feast like at Thanksgiving meal at the Rice's house? I get it. But if I try to tell folks that, to the positive angle, that's all I hear. If I'm, if I get super negative and, whatever, then the other, it's the other side. So it's, I can't really win here, no matter regardless of what I say after games like this. It was a disappointing loss, and there's really no way about it. And yes, you feel really bad for Tyson Degenhart. Like I said, if there was any justice, it would not end this way. They would find a way to go on a miracle run in the conference tournament. He would break the record on the shot that wins them the Mountain West championship, or the shot that wins them the first NCAA tournament team. If there were any kind of Disney storybook ending, that's what it would be. But obviously that doesn't look like that's going to be the case right now. And so you feel for Tyson Degenhart that he is maybe going to be the greatest scorer in the history of this program, and he's going to have 3 tournaments, but no wins, maybe in the NCAA tournament. And so it just felt like everything was lining up for this to be the year for him to really do something, and it's just not working out, that way. And so the storybook ending looks like it's going to be a little tougher to come true, but maybe there's still a miracle run left on them, and down the stretch. But it just Tyson Degenhart, you just feel for him, man. For him to all the loyalty he showed, the transfer, he could have transferred and made a lot of money in some places, and for him to stay here, and he's going to become maybe the all-time leading scorer, and he's going to have a banner hanging up someday. But from a team perspective, for them to have this kind of senior year, it does suck for Tyson, and you feel really bad for him. And, I'll say the same for Alvaro Cardenas too. He transfers to Boise State because he wants to win, and he played for San Jose and had, 2 bad years, 1 decent year. But he wanted to play in the NCAA tournament, and you watch Alvaro Cardenas, and he's all the, diving on the floor and all the blood, sweat, and tears that he's given it, on the court and off the court as a leader. Just doesn't seem right that Alvaro Cardenas probably isn't going to play in an NCAA tournament either. And so you just you feel for guys like that, and an Omar Stanley, who's no one's taken this harder probably than Omar, and he's another guy that you wanted to get a chance to be a part of history, and he comes here and it was on pace for such a good season, and for it to look like to this point that it's been an underachieving season and going to maybe not reach their goals. you certainly feel for those guys. You feel you really feel for these guys that you felt like it was going to go better and it just hasn't. And so sorry for you feel sorry for those guys. And like I said, if there's any justice or any storybook ending out there, Disney fairy tale, it would end with Tyson Degenhart breaking the school record while hitting the game-winning shot, in the championship game or the Mountain West tournament or something. So I don't think anyone used the word super team. Seth says 2 summers in a row we've gotten the super team article. I don't think anyone has I don't think anyone said this was a super team. I think that they thought the team was going to be better than it was. I don't think anyone is denying that. So if 1 year of underachieving means that the coach needs to be fired, then the 4 of you in the chat that are saying that, then go ahead for that. The NIL contributions to the basketball team. It's a good question. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm going to say it's not nearly as much as you would think. That's one area that probably really needs to be upped. And there have been guys like Travis Hawks, Matt Boucher, some others that have really stepped up and really helped out in that area. But at ICCU stepping up with Tyson Degenhart, that was the biggest NIL deal for a basketball player in Boise State history when Tyson Degenhart got the deal with ICCU. He's got some other deals as well. But the NIL game for basketball, you see what Spencer Danielson's out trying to raise it for football. That's a real thing when it comes to basketball as well, because they're going to have to hit the portal. They're going to have, I hate to even do this and bring this up and talk about next season already. They still have 6 games left. They have a conference tournament and maybe a postseason appearance. So it seemed, it's here I am telling you to not give up on the season, and I'm, or at least, not give up watching the games on the season. And here I am talking about next year, but I don't want to say, Sky, it was significant. I'll just say that, okay? It's significant. And Tyson Degenhart is making 6 figures in NIL money. He's not the only player making 6 figures on the team in NIL money, but it's not like they're swimming in cash in the NIL portal. I'll just say that. So when it goes to trying to get, when they have to get some guys in the portal this year, they're going to need to be able to have some money to offer them, and that's certainly an area they have to improve. Jordan says, Moats told us at the Stein event they basically have sandwich coupons for recruits, while UNM, San Diego State have bags. Drink more Horseshoe Golden Ales. Yep. Like football, NIL goes to those sticking around. No doubt. But it's just, and when you have less players on the roster, it's a little different math in terms of the NIL, but certainly what I was going to say is you lose Tyson, you lose Alvaro, and you lose Omar, but you do look at the young core led by Javen Buchanan, who could be an all-Mountain West player next year, Andrew Meadow, Julian Bowie, Pearson Carmichael, Emmanuel Ugbo. They really like a couple of the freshmen they have coming in. They have a nice young core, but they're going to have to go in the portal and find a guard or two and some guys that yes, you should, Sky. I said, wow, didn't know that. Great job, ICCU. Maybe I will switch from Chase Bank. Yes, ICCU at the time gave Tyson Degenhart the biggest NIL deal for a basketball player, and I believe from a single deal perspective, they're up there. It probably is still the highest, to be honest. I don't know why any of those guys would leave. Everyone says, oh, everyone's going to hit the portal. Like, what? Why? Unless somebody offers Andrew Meadow like, $500,000 or whatever, like why would he leave? He's going to be a starter and have a chance to be all Mountain West type player next year. I don't know why he would leave. I don't know why a Pearson Carmichael or I know, like I said, I know there's some unhappy parents in the chat, but I don't think it does anybody any good to just, transfer out of here at this point. I think that a lot of these players have opportunities for big roles on the team next year and have an opportunity to play a lot of minutes. And let's give Leon Rice and the coaching staff a little credit. Everybody wants to rip on Dylan Anderson and all this, and that's fine. But they obviously hit a home run with Javen Buchanan, and they obviously hit a home run with Alvaro Cardenas. So, 2 for 3 in the transfer portal. I don't know what the going rate is, but I would think if you could hit 2 for 3 every year, if you had 3 guys, that more times than not, that's probably going to be a number that you would take. So They certainly identified Javen Buchanan, identified Alvaro Cardenas. Both those guys have stepped up in a big way. The Anderson one hasn't worked out, but they were 2 for 3 in terms of the portal. So let's see, who is this nice young core going to develop? Let's see what else you got here. Let's see. Again, I think Andrew Meadows developed. Andrew Meadows had a nice sophomore year. He took a big step forward this year from last year. I think Pearson Carmichael and Bowie as freshmen have both shown that they're guys that are going to be players here at some point. So I think we have reached. I like the trolling here. Pamela Anderson watching the chat here. We appreciate you, Pamela, for that's funny. Whoever's trolling there, I kind of like that picture and all. They didn't find replacements for Max or Ugba, which is hilarious because at least with Max Rice, a lot of people didn't realize what they had with Max Rice. And I'm not, again, looks like here I am defending Max Rice, defending the Rice family, whatever. But I think Max Rice has proven after he's left that he was a very valuable piece to this team in a lot of ways. And a lot of people that maybe didn't think they were going to miss Max Rice are missing Max Rice. I think Leon Rice's transfer portal. Oh, Jordan just said right there. I mean, you look at who they've gotten in the portal. Abu Kijab from Oregon, Chibuzo Abo from Texas Tech, Emmanuel Acott, Armouche, Shaver. You mentioned this year getting Cardenas, getting Buchanan. There's been other guys when you go back even previous years. There you go. Dylan will be at Duke next year. I appreciate you. Always love Pamela Anderson in our chat. Thank you. And good luck at Duke next year. Max Rice is the Brett Rippon of Boise State basketball. Didn't know what we had until he was gone. Again, I just that was a big loss. You knew that one was coming. They were expecting Meadow and some of these guys to take the next step there. The Buzo one just happened so late that that was not one they were expecting to have to fill, to be completely honest with you. They were not looking at shooting guards in the portal, didn't even have a list of shooting guards in the portal probably. And I shouldn't say that. I mean, they did. You're always looking, but they were not expecting Chibuzo Abo to leave. And that one really hurt in terms of unexpected. And all of a sudden you're having to go look on the roster. And I don't remember how it exactly worked out in terms of was that when they went out and got Buchanan. I don't remember the exact order and all that stuff. But Stanley going ghost threw a wrench in the whole plan. I mean, it looks like we're blaming Omar Stanley for the season not going well. So that's not fair. And that's not what I'm trying to do. But this team is a much different team if Omar Stanley is playing at an all Mountain West level like last year. It's just facts are facts. Omar Stanley having last year's season, even again this year with no improvement. If you get the exact same season from last year of Omar Stanley this year, this team probably has a couple more wins. And if Dylan Anderson, much to Pamela Anderson's dismay in the chat here, if Dylan Anderson, plays at the level they expected him to when he started the season, they're probably in a different spot. What happens to Anderson next year? Again, I don't like speculating on what kids might stay and might go, but I don't, I hate to say it like this. I'm not sure it really matters. I mean, he's not playing right now. So he's getting maybe 2 or 3 minutes a game. So, he's roommates with Keene and maybe he's having a good time, wants to stick it out and try to improve. Or maybe he says, I'm not playing here. I'll go find somewhere where I can play. I don't know the answer to that. But he's not really playing right now. So I don't know if that necessarily, maybe you just cut your losses and move on, but who knows if he's here next year. I don't know, but again, I'm not singling out Dylan Anderson and Omar Stanley, and I hate to even bring it up because it looks like it, but if you're looking for one area of why this team's not as good as somebody in the comments said there, it's probably right there, losing those guys. Those were or not losing them, but just not losing the production that you thought. And again, this is another reason why, as Uncle Buchanan points out, is it possible Stanley's playing hurt? Maybe he is. A lot of times we don't find out about stuff till after the season. I remember Derek Marks, after his career ended, we found out he had to have knee surgery like the next day. So that's why when you rip on players there is so much that happens that we know nothing about. Like even someone like me that, feels like I'm pretty connected to the program. Like there's so much that I have no idea about, nothing. And so fans, I hate to say it, but a lot of times football related, basketball related, all these sports, like there is so much injury wise, personal wise, family wise, there's just so much going on that we don't know anything about. And so that's why when you go on here and rip these college kids, it's not necessarily, as simple as it looks sometimes. And I don't know if something is going on. I don't know if it's not. I'm not covering for them. I'm just saying it's easy to come on here and rip these kids, but they're college kids and you have no idea what's going on. And maybe an Omar Stanley is playing hurt. Maybe he is dealing with something personal. We don't know. But for whatever reason, Omar Stanley is not having the season that anyone expected. And it is what it is. Dylan Anderson hasn't produced like they thought he would. And so both those guys are unfortunately part of the big picture reason. And there's a lot of reasons of why Boise State's not where they're at. Love Buchanan, the only guy outside of Tyson that can create his own shot on the team. I would have probably played him more than 14 minutes tonight. I'm going to take Coach Leon Rice's word. If you came in late for the chat, I asked him about that and he just said his game necessarily wasn't a great matchup for some of the length and things that San Diego State has. He's a guy that can score on the interior, and against some of those guys with all the block shots and things, they just thought it wasn't a good matchup tonight. I still probably would have played in more than 14 minutes. But Pierce and Carmichael getting more minutes than Javen Buchanan tonight wasn't something I probably had on the bingo card. But let's see. Shouldn't be playing hurt. I don't know if he is. I'm just saying there's other stuff going on. I don't know if he is playing hurt. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just saying there's other stuff we don't know about. Things happen, and maybe that is contributing to this. I really, really don't know. A lot of talent on this team. Have to put it on the coaches. Not a fan of the rotation. And I don't know what, and what exactly in the rotation you'd like to see differently. They'd kind of figured it out there for the 4-game winning streak. I know somebody said it was fool's gold because they were playing bad teams. I think that, is there some truth to that? Maybe you were playing 4 bad teams and you got 4 wins. Sure. But as I said earlier, you lost tonight in statistically the hardest place to play in the Mountain West. 14 conference losses at home in the last 15 seasons. That is incredible. You go back to 2013 when the league started with this current group. They have 14 losses at home in 15 seasons. So let's also not let's not act like they just lost to Air Force here tonight. Again, it's 92, now 93 and 14 is San Diego State's home record in the Mountain West going back to 2013, over 87% winning percentage. So they lost 14 games in 15 years here. So I don't think Boise State losing this game should be considered all that much of a shocker or some, thing. But again, 17 points. Yeah, that's not good. Not good to lose by 17. The NCAA tournament hopes, again, probably gone. I mean, if they win the last 6 games, would they be in the mix? Maybe, but they wouldn't have any real great road wins. I'm not a bracketologist. I mean, they'd at least probably be in the, 8-10 range in terms of those, on the bubble, but would they be in? Probably not. It's probably going to come down to try to get the best seed you can in the conference tournament and see if you can do some damage down there. That's probably what you're, that's probably what you're looking at this point. Try to do the best you can, get a decent seed for the conference tournament, try to go in on a winning streak and feeling good. And then, see what you can do in the conference tournament and try to go on a run there and see what happens. It sucks if you're a Boise State fan. I get it that you're what was supposed to be maybe the greatest season ever is now resound to, hoping they can win the conference tournament and hoping they can get an NIT home game. Like, I get it. You're picked to win the league. You're in 5th place. Like, yeah, it's disappointing for, someone covering the team. It's more fun to cover teams that win. You think those are fun interviews to do with players and coaches after they lose? No, they're not. So, and is it, more subscriptions coming and more, advertiser dollars coming when they're winning? Yes. Is NCAA tournament trips fun to go cover the tournament? Yes. So, is winning the conference tournament an auto bid or not? Yes. If you win the conference tournament, you're guaranteed a spot in the NCAA tournament. So that is kind of what Boise State would have to do. That's what New Mexico did, got hot in the conference tournament. They had to win 4 games. Boise State's in a pretty good spot where they'll probably, unless they completely tank down here, have to, they should be able to get the bye and then only have to play 3 games. But there's no kind of dancing around it. It's not the season anybody had hoped for or thought was coming, but 6 games left, and we'll see what Boise State can do here down the stretch to try to enter the conference tournament on as good of a note as they can. If you have any final thoughts or comments, we're already over an hour and 10 minutes on this post-game show here. Let's take 30 seconds to hear from our sponsors, but if we'll keep it going for a little while longer if we have some comments and things. I'm going to take a drink of water here. I've literally been talking for an hour and 5 minutes straight. We'll take 30 seconds to thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back on the Jackson's postgame show here from Viejas Arena.
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RovePaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.
Back here live, Viejas Arena, our continuing coverage on Bronco Nation News, our exclusive coverage here on Bronco Nation News after Boise State's 64-47 loss to San Diego State here at Viejas Arena. 47 points, all that Boise State's offense can muster. They shoot 34.5% from the field for the game. They make just 3 of 18 3-pointers for 16.7%. And we said it on the pregame show, they're going to have to hit some threes to win this game, and they did not do that tonight. 3 of 18. Tyson Degenhart goes 0 of 5 from 3-point range. Cardenas was 1 of 3. Meadow was 1 of 2. Buchanan 0 of 2. Bowie 0 of 2. Carmichael 1 for 4. But Boise State just 3 of 18 from 3-point range and just couldn't make enough threes. And that was part of the problem. They did win the rebounding battle, as we said, 31-30. But overall, just not enough on both ends of the floor. Boise State couldn't figure out the defense. Again, 10 blocks for San Diego State. They couldn't figure out the San Diego State defense. Couldn't figure out their own defense either, giving up 54.2% from the field. But Boise State just couldn't get in the paint enough, couldn't figure out down low. Anytime some of those short shots, I mean, Guath is just blocking them left and right. They only credit him for 5 blocks. I thought he had 7 or 8 and really did a lot of other things as well. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. An hour and 13 minutes. The comments are starting to dwindle a little bit here, but Boise State falls 64-47. Final score tonight, Broncos fall to 17-8 overall, and now they are at 9-5, I believe, in the conference standings. And they will host New Mexico. Huge game on Wednesday. New Mexico in town for an 8:30 tip-off at Extra Mile Arena. So pack the X if you have tickets. We'll see you there. If not, give them to somebody if you can't make it. But I still think it's going to be a fun and exciting game. I know the little bit of luster is lost off it now after they lose this game tonight, but still a lot to play for. And I still think this team can finish strong and do some things in the tournament. And who knows what can happen down the stretch. So appreciate you, Ben, and everybody else for watching, for commenting. Almost 2,000 views already on this show. So super thankful for all you guys and for the comments and probably three get into the conference tournament. 4 is going to be tough. I think it's 2 or 3. So Boise State has some work to do, but crazier things have happened, and they'll try to go on that magical run and start it against New Mexico, 8:30. And if you, again, pack the X, you want to know what a big home court advantage, a loud, arena can do to help a team. Just watch the game tonight here at Viejas. Some
just you're not going to get some of the calls you typically do when you're on the road. You're not going to, the home team can play a little more physical sometimes. The shots rattle in and out sometimes when you're on the road, and free throws don't go in as much when you're on the road. Sometimes the crowd is a major factor. So if you're a Boise State fan, which all you guys watching this chat for the most part are, use those tickets, buy them up, and see if you can be a difference maker for once down the stretch here for Boise State. So appreciate you guys. We will see you Monday. I don't think we're doing a show Monday, actually. It is a holiday on President's Day. No show on Monday. Jay Tuss will be back on Tuesday. We'll be back on Tuesday morning. No show on Monday. Tuesday morning, we'll be back live to get you set for the game on Wednesday. But appreciate all you guys. Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, guys. Safe travels back home. Yep, going to be heading back tomorrow. And appreciate you guys. If you're able to subscribe, we'd love to have you. $50, BNN 50 deals, the promo code you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen. $50 for a full year using that promo code BNN 50 deal. We'd love to have you subscribe at BNN. And if not, go support the sponsors. I did a pretty bad job today thanking all the sponsors individually. So if you're a sponsor, I appreciate you. I love all 13 of you. And I apologize that I didn't get a chance to individually on the post-game show mention you. We'll play our ad on the way out one more time to give you guys your love. But Jackson's in particular for sponsoring our post-game show. We got to give Jackson some love. We appreciate them. And the Broncos did not get to 70, not even close. 47 points tonight, so you can't get that hot dog and fountain drink on Monday, but you can get 99-cent coffee. 99-cent coffee at Jackson's anytime, anywhere using the Let's Go Rewards app. So appreciate you guys again for supporting the sponsors, for watching this show, for liking it, for sharing it, for telling your friends, and all that good stuff. And Jordan, appreciate you as always. You can tell my voice is going out here talking for over an hour straight. I think it's a good time to end it here, and we'll see all you guys on Wednesday at Extra Mile Arena. But first, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. I'm going to head back to the hotel, write my story here, and then we will post that, get back tomorrow safely, hopefully. And then Tuesday morning, Jay Tust and I will be on Bronco Nation News Live. Might get John Mallory on there as well. We'll see on Tuesday and talk some. We'll see 2 days later if it feels any different as we spin it forward here with New Mexico coming to town on Wednesday. So have a great rest of your evening. Go subscribe if you can. Tell your friends, share, like the videos, all that good stuff. We appreciate each and every one of you for your support here at Bronco Nation News. Again, tough one for the Broncos tonight, 64-47 the final. They'll look to rebound and get back in the win column on Wednesday at 8:30 against first place New Mexico. Have a great rest of your evening, your weekend, and we'll talk to you at 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, Bronco Nation News Live from Viejas Arena on the scene here in San Diego, bringing you exclusive coverage of Boise State's 64-47 loss. My name is BJ Rains. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later.
It's game day. Are you ready?
Let's go!
Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, RowPaint.com. Our major sponsors, Idaho Central Credit Union, Taco Bell, Lithia Ford, the Blue and Orange Store, Jackson's, and our contributing sponsors, Signature Roofing, Western Collective, Snake River Pool and Spa, Transportation Compliance Service, Boucher Real Estate, Ridley's Family Markets, Circa Las Vegas, Lean Feast, and Timberstone Golf Course.